Hello, hello. Welcome to our Playful by Design campus tour of University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Do you want to start off our introductions?
Yeah, sure. As you know, we are part of the Illini Esports Club. We've actually been participating in Playful by Design for about 3 years now, but this is the first year we have actual competitive teams coming out and running events, doing some workshops with Playful by Design. Anyways, my name is Tim Campert, or Bucko. I'm a senior in chemistry and molecular biology. I'm also the social gaming director of IE. And I'm just here to help out while these guys give you a tour. Rem, do you want to start off?
Alright, so my name's Rem. I am the community coordinator for Minecraft as well as a moderator for the main server of Illini Esports. I am currently a junior in statistics, and the reason that I really wanted to tackle this project is I thought it would be something cool for people to do while at home. We're nowhere near finished, but it's still a work in progress. Alright. Scott, go ahead.
Okay. I'm Skoss. I'm a sophomore in engineering physics. I'm just a world builder trying to help out with this project. I guess I have been helping with this just because I figured it would be cool to do something new on the server, something that I haven't done before. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi. My name is Zaid, or also known as Bosco6. I'm a sophomore in electrical engineering, and I just joined this project because I saw a bunch of other campuses around the United States and around the world doing their own replicas in Minecraft, and I was like, hey, why doesn't our campus do that? So we've been working with the Illini Minecraft team along with Illini Esports to get this done. And honestly, it looks so beautiful. I can't wait for everyone to see it.
Alright, you?
Hi, I'm Eulegend, and my name is Boyang. So I'm a sophomore in material science and engineering. And I've been playing on the server for the entirety of summer break, basically. And I actually got bored towards the end of summer break. And this project to rebuild the campus just seemed really interesting to me, and I guess I got bored, so I needed something new to do, and that's why I participated. And it's really fun.
Guess I'm left. My name is Edward, also known as Noblesse. I'm a senior studying Econ and CS. Been like an early member since like the world reset, so it's been like over a year, I would say. It's been great. I'm also a server admin alongside Rem, who's MC director. But yeah, is that everybody?
Yeah, everybody. Let's start showing off a couple of buildings.
Yeah, we can start on green. Which way you guys want to go?
Let's go down Green Street first.
Okay.
Like towards campus?
Yep, on our left here, I believe this is the engineering hall.
Everett.
Edward.
Everett. Yeah. I believe this is Everett.
Yeah.
Engineering qual's down that way. Yeah.
Who's the one who built this?
I think it was Rim, right?
I did most of the work for this building. It's not 100% complete. I've been leaving the back side of the building for when we decide to tackle the main engineering quad. We still need to dig out Boneyard Creek and all of that stuff, so that's still a project that hopefully will get done by winter break.
Yes, and then we have the timely COVID testing site here. Freshly added.
Lines, yes, freshly added. With
Hey, distance. Hey.
With our bottles of spit, as you can see here.
Oh no.
Oh jeez.
nice little details like bike racks and such.
Yeah.
We have the sign, welcome to Granger College of Engineering Hall. Here's the building.
So when building
Yeah, go on.
So when building all of these buildings, one of the big things for us is that we tried to pay as much close attention to detail as possible. Unfortunately, there's a few things you can't do in Minecraft. For like example, you can't do vertical half slabs and you can't mix blocks between half slabs. So there is some stuff that we had to adjust slightly to the measurements so that it would work in Minecraft. But most of the stuff we tried to be as faithful to the actual blueprints of the buildings as possible in terms of the outside. Obviously, Minecraft has a conversion system with IRL measurements, so about 1 block is equal to about a yard or a meter. And in terms of finding all of the measurements and stuff for all the buildings, what we did was we used the measure distance tool of Google Maps and Bing Maps in order to determine how wide the buildings are, how big we needed to make each dimension, where we wanted to put windows and stuff. So every single building is a 10-20 hour project by itself. So a lot of work goes into making every single one of these buildings and keeping them as accurate as possible. Let's start heading towards the Union then, and the main quad.
So yeah, this is our union, our faithful Illini union. As you can see, this is green. You can come through this way into the main courtyard of our union.
Yep. I want you to give them a tour of the roof because I actually think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'm actually really impressed with the roof. Quite a lot of details.
Yeah, and what
Because we use the bird's eye view of Google Maps, we were able to get a lot of the designs of the roofs down much more than you could in person.
Mm-hmm.
The roofs were, in my opinion, easier to do than the sides of the buildings due to the fact that the sides of the buildings sometimes we couldn't get proper Google Street Views. So on several occasions we actually went outside and took pictures of buildings in order to try to get as accurate of a representation of the building as possible, and then converted that over to, hey, this is the measurement in Google Maps, and that this is the measurement on the picture, and then try to find a good adjustment between the two.
I found it really like interesting. Yeah, go on.
As Ren mentioned previously, we mostly work in like meter wide blocks, or at least on a meter scale. So the buildings aren't like a perfect representation. They're slightly lower resolution.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Oh, do you want to show them the Algerian Hall next? And the bell tower?
Yeah, we can show them all guild. Here's like the side court, and this is our math building, also known as Alt Guild Hall.
The famous bell tower?
The famous bell tower that we also love. I think we have actual bells in there, which we won't turn on.
Yes, the bells in Minecraft are unfortunately smaller than the real Outgel bell.
Though they're a little bit more jarring as well, but
at some point, we probably plan on replacing it with note blocks so that we can actually, play songs instead of just having bells ringing. That's a very big redstone project that we will be tackling later, probably once we finish more buildings on the quad.
And what note blocks are in Minecraft are essentially a block that if you right-click it, it'll adjust the sort of pitch or sound it makes, such that it's like on a piano scale. And if you set up enough of them, you can actually play real life songs with like these massive contraptions. Oh yes, and then of course we can't forget about the alma mater down here.
Oh yeah, our revered alma mater. Which has my head on it, but that's a minor detail.
Unfortunately, it's very difficult difficult to do a lot of things like statues in Minecraft due to the fact of, again, we can't get down to a lot of the tiny details. That's not something you can really do in Minecraft on this scale that we're building. We're trying to build as faithful to the actual measurements in when we convert them into real life. Also, to answer Wicked 13's question, we haven't done any of the interiors of buildings yet. We wanted to focus out on the outside of buildings. The interiors of buildings are a bit complicated because we would have to be going off of blueprints, and there are several buildings where blueprints aren't 100% complete or accurate since they've been remodeled. So that would be a project where we would actually have to physically go into a lot of the buildings in order to try and figure out the correct measurements. Also, this is a project that's nowhere near completed. This is something we started tackling just at the beginning of September. So this is what the progress we've done in about a month. Unfortunately, as I said earlier, each building takes about 10-20 hours to like just even get like the outside of the building. That's without going into the details of it, like the exact like placement of windows, the coloration of blocks, etc., etc. And unfortunately, since the school year started, we haven't had as much time to do this, so we've been trying to squeeze in a bit of time here and there to continue working on the project. And there's a lot of buildings that we still need to do, obviously. This is just a very small portion of campus that we've completed. However, we do plan on eventually doing the interiors of buildings, but it will be a really long process to get that done.
As you said, each building takes like 10-20 hours. How much of that time is spent building and how much of that time is spent planning the build itself?
I feel like more of the time is spent in planning and measuring it out, so we don't have to like end up building and tearing it down later because it's missing.
Yeah, I'd say like the planning and measuring part, especially measuring, takes all of time.
Yeah, the union itself actually took closer to 50 hours because we made several, because the union was the first big building that we worked together on, and we made several mistakes at several points, and we actually had conflicting measurements between several different people, so we had to agree on a set of measurements in order to properly do that. So a big piece of it is the planning. Also, while we're building, we actually do a lot of measurements while we build on the Google Maps and Bing Maps using that measure distance tool. So I wouldn't say that building, like all 50 hours was just spent solely on building. A lot of it was spent measuring out distances and trying to figure out what the best scale representation. The hardest building to build so far, I would definitely say it's between Union and Outguild.
Fullinger is going to end up being probably one of the hardest, based on the fact that it has just a giant circle in the middle of it. We haven't quite gotten to it, but I know that one's going to be a challenge.
Oh, there's a U-Haul because it was on Google Maps, I believe, on Street View, so we thought it'd be very comical to include it in for realistic purposes. We have several cars around campus.
So you could also say it's more of a placeholder since there's like sometimes food trucks there, sometimes there's actually Red Cross will stop by there and drop their, I think their mobile blood donation van. So it's the U-Haul truck's more of a placeholder.
Also, another building that was actually pretty difficult was Illini Hall. Liz was actually there when I built that. That building was a nightmare to try to figure out. Constantly having to do remeasurements. Certain maps and blueprints that we had didn't include all the remodeling that the building has gotten over the years. So trying to figure out what the most current accurate version of this building was extremely difficult. Also, this building was really difficult to scale because it has a lot of really odd measurements to it. So this building was probably it didn't take the most hours, but it was one of the first buildings that we didn't have complete blueprints for and didn't have proper side views of the building, so this one was extremely difficult to tackle as well.
Yeah, and we also had to ask Scott to actually go there and take photos of the backside.
Yeah, the backside, we just had nothing online for it at all. We couldn't find images for it. We couldn't find street views for it. So we actually had to go out in person to try and find the measurements and everything this.
Illini Esports goes outside.
I know, it's amazing.
We had to do a bit of field research.
Hmm.
Let's see. Which buildings are still left to show? I think
That's...
we can show like part of Noise, though it's still
Yeah.
a work in progress.
We only have the
We have a lot of
front
the
side
Green
noise.
Street
Mm-hmm.
still.
We can show
Restaurants
quad and
and
then
whatnot.
move on to green.
Mm-hmm.
So quad is not it's not complete at all. So we have the big outline for the quad done right now. These are the buildings we're working on next. As you can tell, Noyes is the one that we're tackling right now. All the buildings on the quad are very big, and unfortunately, it comes back to street views don't often exist for any of these buildings. So we're trying to base the builds based on what we see when we go to the quad. Stuff like that, and blueprints of the buildings that Jamie actually helped us find, which was really, really helpful in terms of figuring out the measurement, dimensions and measurements for buildings and what exactly the building was like on the inside. I know we aren't currently building the insides of any of the buildings, but it's still helpful to have the insides because it's really easy to determine the measurements based off of that and really decide how we want the outside to look. So if you look at Noise right now, this is what building in construction looks like. I'd say this is another 10, 20, maybe even 30 hours left of work in order to try and figure out all the small details for this building, getting some of the custom banners that we need made in order to represent windows, different things, and then figuring out the roof and all of that stuff.
As you can probably see, like on the other side of the quad, this is how we like start off buildings by measuring the floor plan out, and this way we can start building up once we get the measurements down. I would say like Noise is like second phase, getting like one side done, slowly starting to get the roof into and such.
The easiest way to do the buildings is just to have one person tackling one side at once. That way you have one person who knows that these are the measurements that I got. These are the measurements that I'm going to go off of in order to properly tackle it. And then have other people help as necessary. Personally, I know that I'm really bad at doing roofs. So stuff like the Union, Outgeld, and all of those buildings, Euligent has helped me with the roofs of those. Because that's personally one area that I lack in. And then he's really good at it, so I just have him take care of that for me when it comes to builds.
So, like you said, phase 1 is kind of like a foundational stage. Phase 2 is more like prototyping the actual fronts of the buildings. Is there like a phase 3 afterwards?
Slowly like developing the other sides into developing like the roof, getting the correct measurements lined up and everything with all the sides and such.
Also, if you come over to the Union, you can see that for some of the windows and stuff, we actually use custom banners, making stuff like that in order to properly show the building as much as we can is really important to us because we want to be as accurate as possible when we're building the buildings. And some blocks, like window blocks for these parts, wouldn't exist in Minecraft. We have to use custom banners or actually go out and make maps for stuff. And it's a tedious process.
Yeah, we can show off the banners by Cocomero, and you'll see like they have different colored letters and whatnot. And the stoplights in the middle of Green Street actually are banners themselves.
We can move on to showing green next. As you can see here, all of these are banners, custom banners that we've made. I believe the rest of the banners are behind here. Yeah, correct. We have like all different letters. Most of the custom banners are not here, but they're actually on the buildings themselves. But here we have different letters. Examples of this are like, say like, you know, the streetlights, Panda Express.
Cocomero.
Oh yeah, the Cocomero and these cross signs.
So
and what's the process behind making the banners themselves?
So each letter has its own pattern to it. Like you need to just put it into the loom block and use different colors. And depending on the color that you use, the color base banner. So like Cocomero has a green base using white for the O, versus the rest of them which use a white base and then red or green for the actual letter itself. I was able to just look up all the different letters and then just follow a mini tutorial for them. And after doing it once, I was able to get it down. So it's not difficult, but it is somewhat time consuming.
Yeah, like an in-game editor.
Yes.
All right.
The loom block is actually relatively new to Minecraft, and not it's easier to use than the old system, but it is still difficult to use, especially when you're trying to get down to intricate details on some of the blocks. And also, not all of the designs that we always need exist in Minecraft, so we have to kind of make certain things work, unfortunately, due to the fact that we can't make custom designs in Minecraft right now. And one of my goals as the MC coordinator is to keep this server as a vanilla experience, as a lot of people aren't comfortable or don't know how to use modded servers. And we want this server to be as accessible to people as it can be, including this build. If people want to come build on this site is on the main MC server, and it is a location that you can get to. And if you talk to me or any of the moderators, we'd be more than happy to help you get set up in terms of being able to join the actual build project and being able to help contribute to making your own buildings, doing road designs, etc.
And to clarify what Rum said, vanilla Minecraft is essentially just regular Minecraft as the developers intended. Modded Minecraft is sort of like the community making small little updates or even full expansions to the game itself to sort of add new content, add like new exciting blocks, different kinds of monsters and mobs for you to fight. So yeah, there's like an entire modding community outside of vanilla Minecraft itself.
We have actually been exploring the possibility of starting another server for modded Minecraft, but that's still in the details. The big things still in the planning phases, since the big thing with modded is that there's so many mods out there. It's really difficult to decide on what people want. There's technical mods, there's exploration mods, there's fantasy mods. So once we reach a more consensus on what people want to see from that, we are planning on eventually moving to modded or potentially starting a modded server on the side, because there is only so much replayability to Minecraft, unfortunately.
And also, when you try to add like any sort of mod to a server, some issues can come up, mostly with like the coding and whatnot, that could actually delete the entire save file. So we want to be really careful with that. Let's see. Anything left to show on Green Street? We can look at like the.
I'm showing like the north side of Green Street.
Yeah.
But not too many buildings here.
Oh, we could also show Cravings. The, in my opinion, best restaurant on campus.
Yes, it's really good. I love Cravings. So we don't plan on so Green Street was kind of a personal project where I just really felt like doing Green Street, so I went and did Green Street, but it's not one of our main focuses. Our main focus now for the rest of the semester is going to be on that quad area and getting the quad complete, and then expanding to either North Quad or South Quad, Engineering Quad. There's just a lot of buildings that we need to tackle. U of I has hundreds of buildings, and each building is a very time-consuming project in terms of getting it as accurate as possible.
Yep, I believe that is everything we have to show right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yes. That's like roughly campus. We've shown we forgot one very important thing. In this direction.
Oh, is it? Is it what I think it is?
It
is.
Yeah.
What is it?
Over here, we have our
Yeah.
no longer standing, but in honorable mention, our
Camps.
our faithful cams.
Hmm.
We
As
just
a monument.
yeah, as
for the
as a testament to
Mhm.
to the legend.
Unfortunately, it is just the front side of the building right now since we haven't built all the way over here yet. We don't
Eh.
want to build a building in the middle of nowhere and then have it not line up with where we want other buildings or where we decide other buildings are, where the street is. So it's just going to be front side of the building for now, though eventually we will get to it and we'll be able to tackle it.
And unfortunately, there's no real life reference for now.
So we're doing it solely off of memory.
Mm-hmm. Fun
Oh
memory.
yeah, that is true.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
The
feel like
Arboretum.
the Arboretum will be quite the challenge.
But Arboretum probably won't be done anytime soon because we still, before we even get to the Arboretum, we would have to finish the quad. We would have to do South Quad. We would probably go towards the Eikenberry direction first because that is its own quote unquote quad by itself. It's a lot of buildings over there.
True.
Yeah,
And
we
then-
can. Well,
Interesting.
yeah, we can try to like finish quad first, get all like the main quad done. I feel like that would be like the most important step, and then we can try to like move on from there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The big thing with jumping different locations, like if we were just to tackle the quad and then say we wanted to go tackle the Arboretum, we would have basically no way of accurately knowing exactly where the Arboretum would be in reference to the quad. It'd be very, very difficult to get an exact measurement on that, and we don't want to have to constantly move things, constantly rebuild things based off of measurements that we decided at a later date were incorrect.
Certain
very
buildings,
tedious
because
process.
they're real life equivalent to Minecraft or vice versa, is like in the decimals. Some might be like 0.66 of a block, which we can't do in game, but like later on other buildings might also have like a 0.5, and so there's that addition leading up to a different, like a block difference a few buildings down that we won't think about adding until we get there by building all the buildings leading there.
One of the most notable examples of this so far is the front doors for the Union. As you may have noticed when we showed off the Union, there's 3 doors in the middle of it because of how the Union was built in real life. There was no way in order to include a half block for a door, so we had to do 3 blocks because that would be the most faithful way to do the rest of the building. And it's just a minor detail, unfortunately, that we couldn't properly get done due to the fact of half blocks don't exist, and stuff like that we've already noticed it on several of the buildings. It'll play out even more on many of the other buildings that we're tackling. That's one of the reasons why the natural history building hasn't even been touched yet, because that building has some really wacky measurements, and we still have to discuss how we even want to get that one started.
Mm-hmm. So I believe that concludes our tour. I guess we can take some time to answer questions if anyone has any.
I think we've answered most of Trito's questions, unless he has more.
Mhm.
I know
Yeah.
somebody asked this earlier before the stream started to me personally, is what direction we planned to take Illini MC into the future. So Illini MC's been around for over a year, and it kind of has its ups and downs since it's a game that you can join anytime, play, and then do something else. It's a game that when the new game comes out, say, people might drop Minecraft for the moment in order to go play that new game, but at the end of the day, the community is still there and keeps on coming back. That's one of the reasons why we've been trying to keep the server open as to people so that they can just join, have a survival experience, have this opportunity to build if that's what they're looking for. We try to cater to as many audiences as possible, In the past, we've tried doing factions. We considered doing anarchy. It's just really whatever the community wants to play is how we orientate the server. I actually recently decided that we should get a second community coordinator for Minecraft in order to help host more events, such as build competitions that we've been having. We can actually show off some of the build competition submissions that we've had so far in a bit if anyone's interested in seeing that, or if we have a bit of extra time at the end.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really cool builds that come out of that, and we really have this opportunity to develop something that's extremely cool in the U of I community and really just come together and do events and stuff as people are interested.
Mm-hmm. Could we get a quick review of sort of like the roadmap of this build in like the coming months? So like what's the next step? What's the step after that?
I would say the quad is like the main focus now. We have a few outlines of the buildings on the quad, like the Henry Administration building and the English building, that have their outlines, but we have to just finish building it fully. After that, as someone said earlier, working our way towards Ike possibly, and if not there, we can move our way up to the engineering quad, or towards Loomis, down Green Street.
Mm-hmm.
Because we started in like such a, it's not really central spot, but yeah, I guess it is central. We have a way to move out in almost any direction. Some people enjoy doing the outlines more, and others enjoy doing the actual building more. So people will just hop on, make an outline, and then hop off, and others will see that there's an outline, build up from the outline, and then wait for a new one.
Mm-hmm. So it's basically whatever the community decides.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. Most of it comes from it's like member inspirations of like, oh, I feel like I want to do like this building first or whatnot. It started off with very, I'd say, member oriented buildings where they quite enjoyed like a certain building that they wanted to work on.
Like one related to their major or whatnot?
Yes, like maybe like Alt Guild, or maybe like say like Panda Express, for example.
The
I
classic
actually
Panda
did a
Express.
Illini Hall because I'm a stats major. That's the stats building, so that's where my major is in. So I decided that boom, that's a project that I want to tackle real quick, knock it out, and then move on to the next building. So I know also the same thing with Noyes. I think it was Whitey Tidy or Jared. He has classes in there with Jeff all the time, and he decided that, hey, this is a building that I want to tackle real quick. He started it. Unfortunately, since we didn't start this till the end of August, beginning of September, we also have to make time out of our own schedules with midterms, with exams, with homework. So that's why we aren't like, I haven't set like a deadline. Boom, blank, blank, blank. The building needs to be done by this time. It's just come on whenever you want, build a building. It's a very laid back project, but it is a very cool project that we want to tackle, and several members of the community has come on to tackle with us.
Mm-hmm. Do we have any plans to sort of make a bus route, a realistic bus route for MTD?
I believe we have I think it just comes along with the roads, since we already have like bus stops such as the one on Green.
Yeah, they currently have one of them set up outside the Union, though it's a bit more like a smaller detail that will come with time instead of like a full-fledged building.
Yeah, go on.
Oh.
Roads has actually been one of the most difficult things for us to build because, unfortunately, if you actually go to Google Maps right now and look at a bird's eye view of campus, the roads aren't actually accurate on there at all.
Not enough potholes.
Yes. Well,
That
for
and
one
they
thing,
curve.
that, but as Wicked 13 pointed out, there's so much construction on campus all the time, and roads are constantly changing. Buildings are constantly changing. Like, I know right now the engineering building on Green Street is getting torn down. Part of it's getting torn down and rebuilt. So that's going to be a difficult one to tackle because we need to decide whether we want to go off of what we can see on Street View or whether we go off of what we can see is going on in real life. So we haven't really gotten to a lot of the areas with major construction. I know that there's this construction on Wright Street right now. We haven't really tackled the minor details of Wright Street since that's not the direction we're building towards. But since we're trying to be as realistic and faithful to what campus looks like right now, that probably is something that we'll include when we decide to start tackling some of those minor details on the road structures and many of the buildings.
All right. Let's see. Do we have any other questions in chat? Oh, as we previously pointed out with cams, do we have any other sort of famous buildings that are no longer present sort of on campus today that we'd like to make a monument to?
I know
As someone who's
Panera
just a
Bread is
sophomore,
there.
I don't know what kind of buildings there would be.
I know we have. I feel like we have 1 or 2 graduate students in the MC community.
Yeah, Jeff
do.
is, occasionally shows up. Tim was the old MC coordinator, and he's an alum now, I believe, as well. We have quite a few seniors, and I don't know which other graduate students we have off of the top of my head, but we do have quite a few graduate students that do actually play on the server.
If anything, versus in the old versus new, I would say we would have to talk about the new target and such, since like this like entire portion of like green is gonna change. That's gonna be really hard to get measurements of, and
That's why
also
we haven't tackled that
It's
part
hard to
green
just
yet.
go up to the builders and say, hey, can we borrow the blueprints?
Yeah.
Not really something that is allowed that we know of.
Yeah, construction companies kind of frown on that.
There's a few places that you can get blueprints for buildings, but it doesn't, again, have all the buildings. I know a lot of people have uploaded 3D models of buildings onto various websites or onto AutoCAD. I've actually found a couple of the buildings for the U of I on AutoCAD, including the Union, which is one of the tools that we actually use to help figure out some of the tiny measurements for the Union. Was those 3D models that people had made in their own time. Since Minecraft is also a very three-dimensional game, the two actually convert over pretty well with each other. But it's just figuring out a lot of the new buildings with all the construction, especially that the Dean right now is going to be a nightmare to figure out exactly how tall that building is. And stuff like that is going to be a real struggle in the construction for the campus project in the upcoming future.
Who's the new community coordinator, Rem?
So it's Abby. Melanie. Her in-game name is Abby. So she's
okay.
she's been playing on the Minecraft community pretty often. So that's why I decided that she'd be a good fit for the next community coordinator, since she is very passionate about Minecraft, and it's something that she personally cares about. It's something that I've worked with her before, so I think she'd be a good fit for it. That's why I recommended her for the position.
Are there any plans to sort of decorate the insides of these buildings, or are we strictly just going for outsides?
So I wanted to tackle outsides first. Insides is going to be a lot longer and a lot more difficult to do.
We need
for
to
a
go
lot of
into the buildings for the
True.
insides. And right now, I think that it is ill-advised to start going around to all the buildings. Especially like staying around and trying to get measurements and getting all close to everything. But at some point.
Yeah, I know there's a few places in the noise basement that are pretty scary to go by, and they are most definitely off limits.
Also, inside the buildings are like a lot harder since A lot of things are less than a yard. So all these micro measurements are very difficult to accurately portray.
See, do we have any other questions in chat?
Do we want to show possibly what the rest of the server is like outside of just the rebuilding of campus?
We could once we get all the questions and such out. Why don't
There's
you
a
guys
couple of really
trim the
cool
grass?
builds.
We could. It would just look like this.
It's kind of grown over time.
Doing right
Yeah,
now.
it's we've kept
Yeah.
the grass uncut for a little while.
I wanted to mention that a part that's a bit difficult is the trees on campus, because the trees have a very uniform look in Minecraft, except for the ones that are grown larger. While on campus there are a lot of different trees, different shapes, all that. So it's been hard trying to make these trees that look realistic without looking built by people.
Yeah, and one thing with the grass too is that you can't really scale it down to make it sort of look like it was like mowed recently. It's sort of just one size, or you have like the two block tall high grass. Yeah, I guess we can show some places around the server itself. I guess, yeah, we can show like spawn and then the nether base, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm at the spawn right now.
So spawn is not finished yet. We actually have we're actually working on a new spawn in a different server because we don't want to mess a ton with the spawn region, because that's the first thing people see without, you know, having it completed. So that's something that we are tackling on a different server. There's a world builder that is specifically tackling that right now. So this is a very plain spawn region for right now. This is what, when we updated to a snapshot server, this is what we were given. We just kind of made it work. It's temporary, and we need to do a lot of with it still. But a lot of the builds and stuff are very focused around this area. So there's some cool builds. You can actually even see them, a couple of them from spawn. For example, Scoss's build over there. There's a couple builds. Just every direction you can find different builds that people have tackled. We want to show Scoss's build real quick, and then we can move towards where Julie's been building, and then Cyan's stuff, my stuff, all of that stuff. And then your base, since that's a bit further out.
So, my base is this giant part that I think of it as mainly 4 parts. The reverse funnel, the spirals that go up around it, the donut, and the sphere. I did this all in survival. I gathered all the materials and built it. If I fell, had to make sure that I didn't die. Like, I fell quite a bit. But I first started with the spirals going up. I built them out of stone, realized I didn't like that. Then I built it out of concrete, made them different colors to make it contrast a bit. I then went to the, I believe, funnel, the reverse funnel, built that all the way up, and then used, like, tried to figure out how far up I could build the sphere so that the very top of this sphere would be at the build limit. So if I tried to build another block up, it doesn't let me. So this is the tallest I could make my build. It takes up 64 blocks by 64 blocks, I believe. And it took me, I want to say, about 3 or 4 weeks to build.
One thing about this server is that outside of the UIUC build project, everything on this server was actually done in survival, except for 1 or 2 things that otherwise wouldn't be possible in survival.
Yes, correct. This is a mainly survival-based server, so a lot of the focus is like survival based, gathering, building, and just like the main survival multiplayer aspect of it.
Yeah, I guess for those who don't know, survival is essentially a mode where you have to gather everything yourself, and you are susceptible to dying from both hunger and enemy mobs. Whereas in creative mode, you have unlimited access to all blocks, and are basically immune to all forms of damage, and you can also fly. So, seeing that he built this in survival makes it much, much more impressive. I think we're about to run short on time. Do you want to end it at the Nether Hub?
Yeah, we can go to the Nether Hub. Here we are.
This is sort of like the main hub of the server, where we have some custom shops in place, as well as some other vendors for enchantments for tools and weapons. Enchantments basically add some extra damage and other effects onto your equipment, so very, very useful to have.
So originally the Nether Hub, at least when I joined, which was over the summer, was just this area around these beacons with all these villagers that you can trade with to give you the enchantments and emeralds and whatnot. And eventually we built the 7-Eleven, or I believe it was just Rem who built it. Or
Yeah, the 7-Eleven name is a joke because
the 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven.
Yeah, the 7-Eleven is a place where there's all the different trades you can get for villagers in one condensed place, so people don't have to go and look through all the different villagers that there are by the beacons.
Yeah, there's a lot of other cool builds on this server that if you wanted to come on and take a look at them yourself, they are always available. They're in very accessible locations mostly, that you can just get on, log on, find the coordinates, or just explore around the world and you'll eventually find them. They're literally everywhere. There's some that are thousands of blocks out, just some that are only a few hundred blocks out. There's some that's 1 or 2 that are actually 1,000,000 blocks out. So they're just everywhere for people to find.
Yeah, those are made by some very dedicated players. And also, all builds on this server have been sort of protected by a plugin we have in place, where anyone who did not specifically claim that area cannot break any blocks there, so you won't have anyone destroying your builds. Yeah, I think that just about wraps it up for us. Does anyone have some closing notes?
We could... No, Rem, do you want to...
There's nothing really for me to add. We've shown off the campus build. We've shown off a couple of the really cool builds around campus. Not around campus, around the server. And those were the big things that we were trying to cover today. So if there's any other questions, we can address them real quick. Otherwise, we're done here.
Yep. Thank you all for coming out to see the tour of our Minecraft server. And as a bit of a reminder, we have another event running tonight at 9 p.m. Same place, same website. We're going to be having an R6 match between our orange and blue team. So be sure to check that out if you have the time tonight.
I'll be there.
Yep. Oh yeah, Bosco will be there. And other than that, thank you all for coming out, and well, we'll see you later.
Take care.